Sarah had just moved into an old apartment in downtown New York. It was supposed to be a fresh start after a difficult year. The apartment was large, located in an old building where time seemed to stand still. She was trying to focus on settling in and finding peace in her life. But the moment she stepped inside, something felt wrong. At first, everything seemed fine. She arranged the furniture, bought flowers, and even started keeping a new journal. But after a few days, Sarah began to notice strange noises. The first time, she thought it was just the building creaking, and there was nothing unusual about it. But soon, the sounds became louder and clearer. It was like someone was trying to approach her door and gently touch it. Every morning, Sarah found something new. Papers on the floor she hadn't placed. A window that was closed even though she was sure it was open. Though these were small things, they began to fill her with dread. One evening, Sarah woke up to a strange rustling sound and decided to investigate. She got up and walked toward the door. The moment she touched the handle, the lights in the room went out. The room was swallowed by absolute darkness. One evening, Sarah woke up to a strange rustling sound and decided to investigate. She got up and walked toward the door. But what became even more terrifying was what she saw the next morning when reviewing footage from the night. The camera had clearly captured a shadowy figure creeping through her apartment. None of the neighbors had seen anything, and Sarah couldn't believe her eyes. The figure moved slowly, and even though the camera caught it, she couldn't explain how it got there when the doors had been locked. That same day, Sarah learned from her neighbors that several years ago, a terrible event had occurred in her apartment. A man who lived there before her had died under mysterious circumstances, and his wife had vanished without a trace. Despite numerous investigations, the police never found any answers. Now, the strange sounds, reflections in mirrors, and old photographs seemed to be a part of her new reality. As the month went on, Sarah couldn't stand the strange occurrences any longer. She began researching old newspaper archives and discovered that several other people had gone missing in the same part of the city where her apartment was located. Among them were young women and men who simply disappeared while passing through the same building. There were no logical explanations. And her neighbors, though they told her terrifying stories, could never quite say why such things kept happening here. That night, when she again heard the familiar sounds by her door, she decided to leave the room and check. When she opened the door, she found an old photograph on the floor, one that didn't belong to her. It was a black and white photo showing her apartment, but something was strange about it. In the photo, she was wearing a black dress with a vacant stare, her face smeared. The photo was of the same man whose death had never been solved. Her heart began to race, and suddenly the room went dark again. She couldn't breathe. The air had become thick, suffocating. Then she saw it. An old portrait had appeared on the wall, the same woman from the photograph. Her gaze was cold and empty. Sarah couldn't breathe. At that moment, a strong wind began blowing through the room, and the air grew heavy. The woman in the picture seemed to smile, her eyes tracking Sarah's every move. "You found me, now I'll find you," she whispered into Sarah's ear. Sarah felt her legs grow heavy. She couldn't move. Her mind tried to deny what was happening, but the feeling was undeniable. The woman from the painting began stepping out slowly, step by step. With each step, the apartment grew darker. Sarah tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. She screamed, but her voice wouldn't come out. Finally, Sarah collapsed to the floor and lost consciousness. When she woke up, her apartment was empty, the windows sealed shut. She no longer knew whether it was a dream or something far worse. But now, she felt a constant gaze upon her. From that moment on, Sarah never left her apartment. A few days later, she began to realize she couldn't escape this nightmare. The shadow that followed her had become a part of her life. She couldn't tell if it was real or a dream, but one thing was certain. She was trapped, and the trap was inescapable. Was.